The fluorescent lights of the small-town clinic buzzed faintly above, casting a cold glare on the metal table where David Rains, a 42-year-old mechanic, sat nervously tugging at his collar. For weeks he'd ignored the growing lump on the side of his neck, dismissing it as just a bit of fat. His coworkers teased him, calling it a stress bubble, and he laughed it off. But lately it had started to throb deep under the skin, with a strange warmth that wouldn't go away. Now, sitting under the harsh light, he felt sweat bead on his forehead. Dr. Patel, a calm woman in her 50s with precise movements and sharp eyes, pressed gently around the swelling. "You said it's been growing for how long, David?" "About a month," he muttered. "Thought it was just a lipoma. My dad had one. Harmless." Dr. Patel frowned slightly. "Does it hurt when I press here?" He winced. "It's been aching lately. Sometimes. It feels like it's moving." He tried to laugh, but the sound came out hollow. The doctor paused. "Moving?" "Yeah, like a twitch or something inside. Probably my imagination." Dr. Patel didn't respond. Instead, she put on gloves and turned to her nurse, Amy, who was setting up a tray of sterile instruments. "We'll need to take a closer look. If it's just fat, it'll come out cleanly." David swallowed hard. "You're going to cut it open now?" "Just a local anesthetic," she said softly. "We'll make a small incision. You'll be fine." As the numbing needle went in, he clenched his fists. The smell of antiseptic filled the air, sharp and cold. The room seemed smaller somehow, the rhythmic hum of the air conditioner louder than before. Within minutes, Dr. Patel began the incision. David didn't feel pain, just pressure, the strange tug of skin being opened. Amy dabbed gently as the doctor worked, murmuring something about dense tissue. Then Dr. Patel froze. She leaned in closer, squinting. The motion of her hands stopped entirely. Amy looked over her shoulder. "Doctor?" Dr. Patel's voice came out barely above a whisper. It just moved." Amy blinked. "Moved?" Dr. Patel grabbed the forceps and gently spread the incision wider. What they saw made her breath hitch. Something pale, thin, and wet shifted inside the cut. It wasn't fat. It wasn't tissue. It was alive. David, noticing the sudden silence, tried to turn his head. "What's wrong? Is everything okay?" "Don't move!" Dr. Patel said sharply, her tone suddenly clinical and firm. "Stay absolutely still." Amy stepped back, hand over her mouth. "Oh my God." Under the harsh light, something long and white began to writhe beneath the exposed muscle. It slid slightly, curling back into the incision like a living thread. Dr. Patel whispered, "It's a parasite, a large one." David's eyes went wide. "A what?" "Stay calm," she said, reaching for a longer pair of forceps. Her heartbeat quickened. She had seen parasites before, but never one this large, this deep. "Amy, suction, now." Amy's trembling hands fumbled for the suction tube. As Dr. Patel widened the opening slightly, a wet, slithering sound echoed in the sterile room. Then, from the wound, something pushed out. A thick, translucent worm nearly 6 inches long, twisting violently as if trying to escape the light. Amy screamed. The suction device clattered to the floor. David's breath caught in his throat. What is that?" Dr. Patel, fighting the instinct to recoil, clamped the creature just below the wound and pulled slowly. The resistance was unbelievable. It clung to the tissue as if rooted inside his neck. "It's embedded," she muttered. "I need to get it out whole. If it breaks, it could cause infection." David's entire body shook. "Get it out!" "Get it out!" Sweat dripped from the doctor's brow. She pulled again, firm and steady. Inch by inch, the grotesque parasite emerged, slick and pulsing with faint movement. When it finally came free, it slapped wetly onto the metal tray. Amy stumbled back, covering her mouth to stifle another scream. The worm, nearly 10 inches now that it was fully out, writhed weakly, its head moving side to side as if sensing the air. Dr. Patel's gloves trembled as she held the forceps away from her body. "I've never seen anything like this," she whispered. "It's alive. It must have entered through an insect bite or raw wound." David, pale and shaking, reached toward his neck. "So that thing was inside me?" Dr. Patel turned to him, her calm composure slowly returning. "Yes, it was feeding on your tissue. You were lucky it didn't migrate toward your spinal cord." David slumped, nausea rising in his throat. Jesus. Amy, still pale, muttered, "We need to send it to pathology." Dr. Patel nodded, placing the worm into a sealed jar. The sound of it tapping faintly against the glass made David gag. "We'll identify it," she said. "Could be a rare tropical parasite, something you picked up without realizing." David blinked, struggling to think. "But I haven't left the country in years. I haven't even gone camping." The doctor gave him a long look. "Sometimes all it takes is one mosquito bite. And bad luck." He stared at the jar as she sealed it tightly. Inside, the creature coiled and uncoiled, pressing faintly against the glass. For a moment, he could have sworn it was looking right at him. Amy turned away, whispering, "I'm not sleeping tonight." Dr. Patel exhaled slowly. "None of us will." Outside, the world went on, people chatting in the waiting room, traffic humming down the street, but in that small, sterile clinic, time had frozen. David sat there, numb, his neck wrapped in fresh gauze. The nurse tried to speak, but words felt pointless. There were things, living things, that could hide in the human body without warning, and he had carried one inside him for weeks. When he left the clinic that night, clutching his discharge papers, the moonlight fell softly on the bandage around his neck. Every nerve in his body tingled as if remembering what had been there. At home, he stood before the mirror and stared at his reflection, running a trembling finger just below the fresh wound. And for one horrifying second, he thought he felt something move again,